Hi there, Will here, and today I'd like to show you something that I think you might find quite interesting. It's in this fancy looking Mamiya box with slight mouse damage. So inside this here box is a relatively rare, quite hard to come by, and excessively lucky find for where I am in South Africa. RB67 500mm lens. I suppose the first question one has to ask when it comes to a lens like this is why does it exist and why would one want to buy it? There's very little documentation online for it, so I figured since I found one for a reasonable price, I'd pick it up and have a look, see what things did look like, because I'm always looking for new ways to expand my vision, and I figured a lens that I hadn't really seen anyone use or seen the results of anywhere online might be a good place to start. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is assemble it so that you can get an idea of that process. It is a bit of a process. I say a bit, it can be less or more difficult depending on how lucky you are in lining up the bracket itself, but I just mount it to this little Manfrotto B3 that I have, since it is rated for 7 kilograms I think, and the lens and the body combined only weigh about 4, so technically nothing should go wrong. I wouldn't say that it's the best setup, but it serves my needs. I think it's time for us to take a step outside now and actually see how the lens performs. I reckon we're going to head up there, to the top of Signal Hill. Welcome to Big Flat Rock Town. We've made it to the top of the hill, Signal Hill. There's a cannon just down there that I can actually see from here. I might go investigate that at some point, but it fires every day at noon, and that's probably the oldest bit of history Cape Town has, is a cannon that fires every day at noon since like 18 something. Anyway, I'm going to make some pictures here with the 500mm lens, and hopefully they turn out nicely. I'm trying to compose a frame of the waterfront right now. It's actually a bit tricky. I'd normally use a cable release to take this, but I've unfortunately managed to forget it at home, so here goes nothing. And I took it in mirror up mode, which is great. Perfect, brilliant. First cup of the day. Okay. But I can save myself. So if you ever make the mistake of shooting a frame in mirror up mode and you manage to catch yourself doing it, if you put the double exposure setting on your back on, then you'll be able to re-expose that frame, because in mirror up, without you manually actuating the shutter here, it's not going to take a picture. So now I've managed to save my bacon by switching things to double exposure, and now I'm just going to take the picture properly. Okay, turn it off of double exposure, advance the frame, advance that, ta-da, problem solved. Anyway, I hope I'm in focus. This camera doesn't have autofocus, so if I'm not, I apologize, but at least you can see the rock. It's a very strange day. It's actually quite clear out that way and in that direction, but there's a fog bank rolling in over there, which probably means there's some bad weather coming, I think. I believe that's what it means. I'm not a weather expert, but you know. I reckon I'm going to take a couple of exposures of the city bowl here as well. 3, 2, 2, 1. And why don't we take a picture of the fog bank while we're at it for good measure? You can see the stadium down there too, I think. I don't know if that lines up. There's the stadium. And there's a lovely fog bank. Now, for the sake of comparison, I'm going to take off the 500mm and put on a 250mm with a 2x adapter, just to give us a look at what sort of difference there is between those two. I apologize again for the wind, if the wind is distracting right now. So this is what this looks like with the 2x adapter on. Maybe the lens will actually extend nicely onto the frame. Yeah, and just like that, we've got another 500mm lens. So we'll go compose the same picture of the boats and see if it makes much of a difference. I hope that worked. I've never used that 2x adapter before, so if it didn't, I'm going to be unimpressed. Let's go find another spot to sit at. That's Lion's Head, if you didn't know. I'm sure most people watching this would know what all these things are, but you know, just in case there's some international appeal, that's Lion's Head, which sits next to Table Mountain. There's an interesting situation going on down there that I think I'd like to photograph with this lens, so we're gonna give it a go. Bang. Nice, nice, nice. To be honest, at times this thing can be a bit too much, and when I say at times I mean most times, because that'd be quite a nice frame if it contained the hill in conjunction to the house, but I suppose that's not what it's for, so... This is the final frame now. So the rule is you have to make the final frame count. I'm not really sure how. I think I want to go a bit further down the road and see if I can get that fog bank. I don't seem to be having much luck finding this final frame. But I suppose if I just stand here for a while, something will show itself. They're busy filming a commercial of some sort down there, so I'm in good company. Ultra low tripod mode. That's nice. Building, tree, cityscape. Very nice indeed. 3. Don't know why I'm counting down. These advert people look somewhat disconcerted by my presence. I think they've got lens envy or something like that. The road's starting to get quite busy now. I think people are getting off work, but I hope my little expedition has been fruitful and that you've garnered some insight into the operation and look of that 500mm lens, and I need to stop saying So looking at these, now that I've had them developed, I'd say there are a couple things I was already aware of, and one thing that I wasn't aware of that I need to talk about. Namely, the chromatic aberration, to start out with. This 500mm lens has intense chromatic aberration. There were 3 models of this lens made, the Sekor C, the APOL, and the Sekor Z, the APOL being for the RB67 Pro SD, and the Sekor Z being for the Mamiya RZ67, and those two models, the newer ones, have amended glass inside them that reduces the chromatic aberration somewhat. I can't comment on it because I haven't used those lenses, but the specific intent of those newer models was to reduce the chromatic aberration because it is really bad in this one, as you can see in the bottom of this development site picture, as well as the edges of this waterfront frame. But something that I found quite surprising was the comparison between the 500mm and the 250mm lens with the 2x adapter. The 500mm is softer and has reduced contrast, which is somewhat surprising because the 250mm picture was taken at f8 and the 500mm picture was taken at f11. I don't know, it's not really a fair comparison because the 500mm wide open is f11 and the 250mm wide open is 5.6, I think. So if I shot it at 5.6, maybe it would have been a more direct comparison. But outside of that, the 250mm also has less contrast. So I'm lying. The 250mm has more contrast, which is good. Everything looks nicer. Not that you can't fix it in post, but in terms of having a solid negative, the 250mm is better. I would recommend buying the 250mm and a 2x adapter over buying the 500mm.